Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Hey, it's been a while since I've been able to post a video. I've been out of town for work, so it's kind of limited what I could do. But today, I wanted to take a look at a device that's kind of been intriguing me for a while, and I've seen a lot of other reviews on it. But the only concern that I have is that almost every review that I've seen has been a sponsored review. So it's the kind of the content has been controlled by the company. You know, they pay the reviewer, they supply the device, and they say, hey, here's what you can and you can't do. And typically that is you can't say anything negative about the device, and hey, you also can't put it on video and compare it to other devices. So, that kind of brings into question, is the device really as good as the reviewers say? Not really saying that, it's wrong for reviewers to do that. Certainly, I understand the need to do it. I might even do it myself one day, but in the case of this device, it's really intriguing me because it seems like it's got some really innovative, forward-thinking features, especially for an e-ink device, and I wanted to dig into that and see how it looks. So here's what you can expect from this video. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the iFlyTek AINote Air 2, the features and the functions of it. I'm probably not going to touch on everything. I'm going to touch on probably what's important to me, which is typically what I do on any type of review, but I'm going to walk you through what I see as some of the main features of the device. And then I'm going to give you some of what the cons and the pros of the device are as well. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you if I recommend it, and if I do, who I recommend it for. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, so let's take a look at the hardware of the device first of all. It is a very premium look and feel device. It's very thin, it's very light. It's got a speaker bar across the top that not only has speakers in it, but it's also got two microphones at the top, and I believe it's got two at the bottom as well. That gives you some directional recording. It does have anti-glare, and I know I've got some studio lights in here that are reflecting pretty brightly, but generally it does have pretty good glare control. From it's just a very good feeling device. I bought the bundle, so I got the case that went with it. As you can see, the case has little hooks on it that's very similar to what the SuperNote Manta has. The device also has holes for those hooks to go into. I'll show you how to install it. It's very easy to do. So you just line up those hooks with the holes, and then you slide the device down onto it until you hear it click into place. And then it's a very secure attachment that's not going to go anywhere at all. And then it also comes with a stylus. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up to a full view here. But it also comes with a stylus that has several different features on it. So it is a Wacom EMR stylus. It does have an eraser on the end of it, and then it also has a special button on the side that has some functionality that I'll talk about in just a little while in the video. So from a hardware quality standpoint, very premium. Really love the quality of this device. It is fantastic. So the telltale sign that this is not a sponsored video is that typically when the company pays you to do the video, supplies the device for the video, they typically tell you those two things: is that you can't compare it side by side with another device, and that you can't say anything negative about it. Well, here you go. This is proof it's not a sponsored video. So this is the ViWoods AI Paper Mini that I've got over here on the side, and I really just wanted to show you the screen side by side with this, with no front light on. Both of these devices do have a front light, and both of them are very similar screen size. They may or may not have the same screen technology. I'd have to research that and tell you, but the screen brightness on both are very similar. The writing feel is a little bit better on the iFlyTek device than it is on the AI Paper Mini, but not by much. I also wanted to bring in the SuperNote Manta and do a comparison on the screen brightness on those. Also very similar. I think when I'm looking at it here in the room, I don't know if this translates on the video or not, the SuperNote's a little bit darker, but it's not much, and it really doesn't affect the experience at all. But just wanted to show you the comparison of those devices. Now I want to show you the front light, bring back in the ViWoods AI Paper Mini and show you the front light on both. So on the iFlyTek device, you have some brightness modes that are preset here in your control panel that you can drop down. Right now I've got it turned off, but they've got it set for low light, and they've got it set for dark, which kind of tones it down a little bit. I've got a custom setting that I put on here that's probably a little bit brighter than any of those other two settings. But I will also show you here on the ViWoods device. I typically have this on a setting of about 6. So I'll put that where I've got it. The when you look at the comparison of these two, and I'll show you, I can go into settings and look at the brightness here. I believe it's under general. I believe it's under brightness there. As far as the cold light, let me go ahead and turn this up to about, I know that they're not comparable exactly. I think one maybe 20 and 24 over here as far as settings go, but they're about equal as far as settings. The iFlyTek does also have a warm light where the ViWoods does not. If I were to take the warm light off completely, if I can hit that, you can see that the ViWoods to me looks whiter. This over here looks bluer, which is why I had a little bit of warm light turned on. It still has a little bit of that bluish look to it, and I'm trying to see if I can, get it more white looking, and of course I can with the warm light. So that gives me kind of a very, bright white look to the device where I'm still kind of bluish over here. So more controls as far as the brightness settings and the warm light on this device. So I've got my notes for this device as far as the review, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the front light off so that you can see it just in its native non-front lit condition. But so I've got my notes for this review actually written in the device, and we're going to go over this just kind of how I've got it written here. And I did these notes as I opened the box and as I experienced the device. I just started writing notes. So that's kind of be the order of how I'm going to do this review here. But the first thing that I noticed and the first thing that I did was I opened a note and I just started writing. And I love the writing feel on this device. It's got enough friction, but not too much friction, that you really get a very nice writing feel. As I said, I think it's better than the ViWoods Mini. Just a really good feel there. I still do think that the SuperNote Nomad with the Feel Right 2 screen protector and the ceramic nib is a little bit better than this, but this is a very close second. It's a very good writing experience. I mentioned that the device is very premium looking, how the cover attaches. The pen reminds me of a Kindle Scribe premium pen with the eraser and the side button. Just the shape and the overall profile of the pen reminds me of that. And I do have several of the Kindle Scribe premium pens because I really love those pens, and I think that this compares very good to that. It's got very good weight and balance to it, and it's very precise. And I'll show you something that I can do on this device that I can't do on others. So if I were to draw just a random line here, that's a horrible random line. Sorry about the curve at the end. If I were to just draw, now I'm hitting the button, so sorry about that. If I were to just draw a random line, and if I wanted to continue that line, on almost every other device that I have trouble making that connection to the end of the line. On this one I have, and watch me not be able to do it, on this one I have the ability to connect that line, even though I'm looking at this from a little ways away because the camera's in my way. I was still able to connect that line pretty easily. So the precision of the pen to the screen, even though it's got the additional front light layer, is really good. So I don't know if there's some trickery going on there to kind of offset to where it doesn't, or it helps you line that up a little bit better. It just does a really good job of that. So let me talk about some of the things that I began to experience immediately with this device that are negative. So the software, the UI experience is very confusing. It's very disjointed. I know my friend Ed Finn over at Organizing for Change is, he's looking at the ViWoods device right now, and I think he's put out one live video already and probably has some more coming. His experience with the ViWoods is that it's also disjointed, and it is. It's got some things that just don't fit well together like other devices do that are more mature. Well, this one is even a level down, probably several levels down from that, from just being very disjointed. So it doesn't have good English throughout the device. It calls things, for example, I'm going to get into some of this in a little while when I start talking about to-dos and other things, but you'll see where the English sometimes doesn't make sense. It's probably a poor translation of the intention, but you can get the idea of what they're trying to do. But sometimes also Chinese pops up when you're in a menu and you're trying to do something like you're going to share an OCR. And you'll get some kind of a contextual message at the bottom of the screen that's actually in Chinese instead of in English. And I've got this set to an English language, so that makes it a little bit disjointed. And then you're also going to see as I start to do some demo some features of the device that it's very laggy and choppy in some places, and it can be very slow as well. I'll show you that experience as well. So immediately when I started to get into the device and I started trying to take notes, the first thing that I noticed that was a huge con for me is that in the notes section, and I'll get into all the different, how the device is laid out here in just a minute, but in the notes section, there is no ability to be able to create subfolders. So, and also to create folders, I have to go back to my main directory, and then I can create a new folder. So I can do one here and just call it new folder, and here it is, and then I can go into that folder, but now I have no option to be able to create a subfolder. That looks like it might be a subfolder button, but it's not. It's to create a text note. So you don't have the ability to create subfolders, which is a huge downside for me, because in my work folder and typically in all my other devices, I always have, there's about 30 different folders that I categorize things into. If I'm not using my large PDF file that I typically do, I need those subfolders to be able to categorize stuff. And then one level beyond that, I also categorize by date, or at least by year. And this doesn't give me the ability to do that. So I see that as a huge downside to this device. So going back to my notes here, you do have the ability to create subfolders, which is really weird when you look at the reading. So I'm going to talk about all these different sections and icons here in just a minute. But when I get into reading, which is basically your PDF and EPUB area, you do have a folder structure here. And I can go into, for example, bookshelf. And I do have the ability, I've got an icon here to be able to create a subfolder. I can create a new folder that's nested inside of that. I just can't do it in my notes, only in my reading or my PDF. So that's very disjointed. So let me go over the main layout. This is kind of like your home screen. It starts off in the notes and it shows you your list of notes here. But it also gives you, so you've got notes, schedule, reading, and then I'll go into each one of these icons up here at the top. But notes is kind of divided into two sections. So you've got write and record. And basically what the difference is, write is handwritten notes, just like you'd say. There's really not any AI or much AI in this at all. Record is, I think, kind of the signature feature of this device, where you can do voice recording either of an individual or multiple people. And I'll show you how really neat that is. And that's really a defining feature of this particular device that we'll get into shortly. I wanted to start off with the write, though, first. So I'll start off by saying that there is a companion app for this. It's available. I've got an Apple iPhone. The app is called AINote. It has very basic functionality as far as syncing of the notes. It does sync your folders. It syncs the notes, tags, and those types of things. And as you see, it gives you a scrolling feature page by page of what you got. But it doesn't sync any other kind of documents, PDFs, EPUBs, or anything like that. You have to do that through third-party integration, and I'll get into that as well. So as I get into the write, I'm just going to work within this note that I created for the review, just reminders of what I wanted to talk about and what order I wanted to talk about it in. But so in the write features, I'm inside of a note. The first thing that I'll point out up here is that I do have a pen icon. And under that pen icon, I've got 5 different pens. I believe that's ballpoint, pencil. I'm not sure what the little leaf is. I really don't know what the leaf is. Maybe that's calligraphy. And I've got a fountain pen and I've got a paintbrush. And then I've got 2 different types of erasers. I've got just like a spot eraser like you would have on the back of the pencil. And then I've got a lasso to erase as well. Under each one of my pen types, I've got 4 different thicknesses that I can have for my pen. And then under this one eraser type, I've also got 4 different eraser sizes. So pretty good pen selection, pretty good size selection as well. The next icon here is kind of unique. This is the Smart Pen. So it's really got 4 functions. So let me show you what they are. I'm going to pop up the menu for it. You can, when you select this pen, you can, circle something. It will lasso it. and then you'll have a pop-up menu of functions that you can do. But you can also draw a star to mark attention, is what it says here. You can draw a circle to create a to-do, and there is a built-in to-do app on this device, similar to the SuperNote. Or you can create a triangle, and it will create a title or a header or an outline, very similar to what Books or SuperNote does. And I'm going to show you each one of those here now. So I came to a new page, and the first thing that I'm going to do, well, I could show you Lasso real quick. So I've got that selected. I can lasso this. I can move it around. And here's where it's kind of choppy. It's not very fluid when I'm moving around. You can see it will just kind of jump. It's not very fluid. I don't know if that's a processor issue or software optimization or whatever, but it makes it difficult to kind of zero in on where you want to land with it. The other thing that it does, when I lasso this, it's got the option to make that says join to do. I'm sure that is create to do is maybe what they intended, but it may be a poor English translation. You've got AI search, you've got clear and then cancel. So join to do I'm going to get into because I'm going to show you two different ways, or actually three different ways of making a to do on this device. And this is just one of them. For AI search, you can click that button. It's processing. And I really don't know what that does, to be honest with you. That was not helpful at all. But let me show you real quick on the next thing that I wanted to show you was mark attention. And I'm going to erase something here. I'm going to erase all this real quick, and I'll get into this in just a minute. Very nice eraser, by the way. Very easy to erase. I'm not sure if I like this eraser better or the ViWoods AI Paper eraser. I really like that one. It rattles a little bit, but I really like the eraser. But I'm going to turn this sideways because I'm left-handed, and I'm going to hold the pen up on the shaft a little bit so my handwriting's, you can be able to see what I'm writing, but my handwriting's going to be terrible as a result because this is not a natural position to write. But if I wanted to mark attention for something, I'm just going to write the, well, let me get into the pen. I'm just going to write the words. Boy, and I tell you what, this is hard to write like this. It's almost like writing with the wrong hand because it's not a natural position to hold the pen. So sorry about that. So I've got the words mark attention. I can come over here to the Smart Pen. I can draw a star, very similar to what you do in SuperNote. It creates a star. Now that's immediately gone into my schedule. So I can come over here. And there's several steps to exit a note, similar to Books. It's not just a one click out type thing. But let me go into Schedule. I'm going to go into Focus Star. It's loading, and it should find that where I said Mark Attention. So that is there. And there's some few other things that I was playing around with earlier. But there's where I just did Mark Attention, and it says Mac Attention. So didn't quite get that right. You can also, as I'm in the note, let me go back to this. You can also click on that star and it'll fill it in. And that's kind of set a persistent focus on that particular item. I don't know yet what that means. I haven't really dug into that, but it is, you can set or unset that persistent focus. So interesting feature there. So if I wanted to get rid of the star and take it off the calendar, I can turn my pen over and erase it. And it's going to say, confirm erasure. Once erased, it's not recoverable. I'm going to go ahead and confirm it. Now, it not only is it taking it off here, I won't navigate back to the schedule, but it's no longer on my star focus on the schedule as well. So the next thing that I can do is I can make this a to-do by simply selecting my Smart Pen, and I can create a circle. Now that is already added to my calendar. You can see the words mark attention, and it's probably going to get it wrong again because of my handwriting. I don't blame that on the device. I blame that on the way I'm holding my pen. But now I'm going to go to my to-dos, and I've got Mac attention. Maybe if I had written that a little bit more legibly, it would have gotten that right. Once again, I can check it off here as the to-do is done. I can also let me show you here. I can also go into this little information icon. I can set a date. Once I set a date, I can also set reminders of 1 hour before or 8 o'clock on the day of, those types of things. But very interesting. But also, when I go back into the note, I can also mark this off by clicking that. and it will go ahead. It's set to completed. It also on the to-do list, it's set to completed as well. I won't navigate back to that just for the sake of the video. I'll ask that you trust me. I have tested that. Once again, I can erase this, and it says confirm erasure, and I'll do that. And then the final thing that I'll show you on the Smart Pen is the outline, the title. They call it a title. It's similar to an outline on a book, or it's similar to a header on a SuperNote. But I can create a triangle, and it tells me that this is automatically identified, so on and so forth. I'm going to just say got it. Now, here is where I had a lot of confusion, and I talk about that the UI and the interface of the device is very confusing. You would think that I would have somewhere that I could find this title very easily. And on other devices, you see this in your page overview. So, and I'll get to this shortly, but I'm going to show you, I've got page management here. And this is where I see all the thumbnails of the pages that are in this device. And you see that I don't have anywhere in here that I could do, or that I could find that outline. Trust me, it's not in this menu system anywhere. The place that you find this is up here where your title of your note is. You bring down the drop down, and now you'll see that I've got a title directory. I've got the main title of the note, iFlyTek Review Notes, and now I've got this subtitle that's called Mac Attention. It's not, it would typically get that right if I was writing in my real handwriting, but I can go back to the, the title of, which is the main page, or I can come over here and I can go to where I did that title, and it's highlighted in gray so that it tells me what the title of that particular note is. So that's pretty interesting. I also wanted to show you one other thing as far as the title of the note itself. So let me go back to that page one. So they give you in the default templates, they give you this little triangle, or I'm sorry, this rectangular box to where you can handwrite the title of your note, and it goes ahead and runs that through OCR, and then it gives you an actual text version of your note title, and that's where you see in the title directory here as well. So that's pretty cool. So one of the negatives that I saw, I was talking about being able to lasso. I've got the Smart Pen selected. I'm going to lasso the word title here. I can move this around the page, but I don't have any option to copy, cut. I guess I could delete it, but I don't have any option to cut, copy, or paste anywhere on there. So I think that's kind of a miss on the part of iFlyTek as far as the note features go. So another note, when you're using star focus, to do, or titles, it's best to not do a star focus on lines that are this close together, because it picks up not only the line that you're on, it doesn't recognize these template lines. It just recognizes that there's some text to the right of this, and then it makes that the star focus. And sometimes it gets confused when you have it that close together. I'll show you what that looks like from I did this earlier. And on the star focus, it got really confused, and it says courses where unit person star focus, best to put space, yada yada. So that didn't really come out that well. The best thing to do is, if you're going to use star focus, to do, or titles, it's best to leave a little space above and below it. I don't know how much space you have to leave. I would typically, if I'm using a line template, I'd probably just leave a blank above and beyond and below it, so that it doesn't have that confusion on there. So that brings me to OCR. So OCR can be really bad or really good. I'm going to just show you. I'm going to go ahead and hit the OCR button over here, and we're going to just OCR this page. And as you can see, it's got the original handwritten up here, and then down here it's got the OCR version of it. It did a relatively good job. Right here it says where I've got standard fare but choppy move. Here it says standard fare bot choppy move. That looks like a U on my handwriting. Maybe it's close to being an O that's not closed at the top. I don't know. It capitalized the word paste here. Not sure why it did that. And then let's see. Everything else looks pretty good. I think, let me look and see. Well, here's another one. So down here where it says can check it off directly in notes, here it says car check it off directly in notes. So OCR is kind of hit or miss. It's probably a 90 90 to 95% accuracy there. So not bad, but it's certainly not the greatest. So now I want to talk about templates. So there's 19 templates available once you're already inside of a note. So you have to select a template originally. When you have a template button up here, and there's 19 available in this button, but there's something very disjointed about this as well, and I'll show you real quick. So you have these 6 different categories. You've got planner, you got 4 different options here. You've got document, 3 options, analysis, 2, style, you've got 7, health, you've got 3, and they're really good templates, don't get me wrong. And then of course you can bring in custom templates. I haven't done this. They have to be in a graphics image format such as PNG or JPEG, and they have to be in a very specific folder on the device, and then they need to be 1404 by 1767 pixels, height and width. So they do give you some pretty good direction on that. But what you'll notice is that in all of these options or categories, I don't have ruled lines, I don't have dot grids, I don't have any of that stuff. So where do those templates exist? I'm using a ruled line template here, as you can see. So where do you find it? It's not in the templates button. So you have to come over here to this little 3 ellipse and a vertical stack. And you've got up at the very top, you've got styles. So you can see that there's some options for templates here. Under style, there are 7 different templates here, including, one of those is a blank, but you got lined large, medium, and small, which I'm using small in this document. You've got dots, you got, of course, blank, you've got vertical, and then, of course, a grid, and then those are the options. This is in a category called administration. Why that's not incorporated into templates is beyond me. So that's just another example of where it's a little bit disjointed. I did want to show you though that if you wanted to set a default template, you can come over here to the style, and you can hold down administration, and then it allows you see the default radio button under each one of these. You can change the default to any one of these. I'm going to go back to this line small. That's what I prefer. And that's my default template when I start a note is what it's going to be. So that's pretty cool. The next button up at the top is sharing. It does have very limited sharing options. There are 3 formats that you can share or export to. It's Web H5. I don't know what that is. I'm sure that somebody watching this video knows what that is, and it's meaningful to you. It's not to me. You can export as a Word document. You can export as a PDF, and you can do this through QR code sharing or email sharing. There is built-in email on this device as well. The next button up at the top is a recents button. So if you're inside of a note and you need to quickly go back to another note, for example, I can go back to this quick notes. It'll take me over there pretty quickly. I can come back to this review note pretty quickly. It bounces between those. So that's a pretty handy feature to have as well. The vertical dots here, I started to get into. I've already talked about styles and the templates that are available here, but you have several buttons that are available here. You've got refresh, which is just a screen refresh. It's not the only way to do a screen refresh. I can also swipe down and get the control panel, and I've got a refresh button here. But it's also got a sync button. I can sync this file, or I can sync the device. I can delete a page on the device, or I can do page management here, which I've already kind of gone into already. The only thing that I can do here is copy, paste, or delete pages. I can't do much else besides that. If I wanted to move pages around, I have to copy it, place it somewhere else on the page, then go back and delete the original version of it. So it's a little clunky as far as that goes. I mentioned the sync. That's not the only way to sync or to trigger a sync on the device. You will see on each one of the notes, like right now it says that it's syncing. I just left that note. It's already syncing. The syncing to the app on your phone or other device is pretty immediate, and it happens pretty quickly. You'll see that these other devices or these other notes are synced already. But I can trigger a sync at any time just by coming down here from this home page. It's already syncing, but if it was not, I could click on that and it would initiate a sync. So more than one way to do that, but the syncing happens pretty fast. So also under the 3 ellipse vertical stack menu there, I've got a couple of other things. I can do searching. Here's another case where maybe the translation to English was not well. It says in cipher, but that's really how you would lock a note to make it more secure. Also, I can delete notes here as well. So it does have good handwriting search. I'll show you real quick. I'm going to go out of the notes to try to demonstrate this real quick. I can come up here and hit search. I know that I've got the word writing. You can see that there. But I can come in here and I can, put in writing is what I want to search for, if I can spell it right. Did I spell that right? And immediately it found the note. It found a note with the word writing in it. I can click on it and it's going to highlight the word that I search for. So it's very fast search. And it may be because I don't have that many notes on here. Most of what I did when I first got the device in, I've already deleted, and I just started doing some stuff in prep for this video today. But that's very fast search. I think it's much faster than books. It's even faster than SuperNote. But it could just be because of the number of files that I've got in here. And then the rest of the icons at the top, I've got this little, looks like a stack of squares. I can click on this, and this is basically the task switcher. I can close task, I can jump to another app that I've got open, or I can close all apps just by hitting the trash icon here. That's not the only way of doing that. There's other areas in the interface where you can do that as well. For example, I can swipe up from the bottom, and I can also bring up the same thing. Speaking of the bottom of the screen, there are 3 areas where you can interact with the device on the bottom. The first over here is an AI interface. In the middle, I've got, I can swipe up to go home, but it's also got a fast page switcher. If you're in a note that's multiple page, I can just, in the middle of this, I can start swiping either right or left, and it will quickly move between pages. I find it very choppy. As a matter of fact, let me just go ahead and show you that real quick. So I'm on page 1 of 13, so I want to go forward. It's not really, there it is. Now it pops up and allows me to go through those pages, but I have to, and I think you have to move a little bit quicker to get that to work, but it does function, as you can see. You can see the page numbers going across there. Let me see if I can get back to the page that I was on. Yeah. So the AI button over here, it's actually not a button, but you can swipe in from the left edge of the screen, and it will initiate a session of AI interaction. Here's where the lag and or the slowness of the UI comes into play. It is going to activate, I promise you. Maybe it's not going to activate. So let me try this again. It's usually 3, 4, 5 seconds before it responds. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me just get out of the note and make sure that it's not, set to not trigger while you're in a note. So now I'm back at the quasi home screen. I'm going to swipe in from the left again, and there is my, you can interact with your AI bot there. On the right hand side, you've got quick notes. I can also begin off the screen and swipe to the left, and it's going to bring up an area where I can do quick notes, and these are filed in an area where you can go back and access those. You've got a menu here where you can export and start a new note. You can look at your quick notes list, which I've only got one quick note there, and then you can add a page and delete a page. And by the way, the quick notes, you'll see in my notes section here when I'm on a home page, I've got the directory, and then I've got, I guess these are kind of like folders, but I'll go back to the directory. I've got a default folder, the new folder that I created, a test folder I did earlier, I did a work folder, and then I've got a quick notes folder here where I can get back to those quick notes. And then I can look at notes that are flagged, notes that are encrypted, local notes, and then things that I've deleted that are still in my recycle bin. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is another area where the user interface is just very disjointed. So this device does have the ability to tag pages, so that you can quickly go back and search for tags and find what you're looking for. But if I want to tag this page, it's very confusing on how to do that. You would think that you would have a tag icon somewhere up here. Since there's not a tag icon, you'd think that it'd be buried under this vertical ellipse. It is not. It's not in page management. It's not in style. It's not. You have to trust me. It's nowhere in there. It's in the weirdest of places, at least to me. It's in the note title up here where I showed you the outline earlier. You've got tags right here, so I can click. I've got 2 tags associated with this note now. I can click on that. Now it brings me to the tags. I can, add an additional tag if I wanted to here, or delete tags. And then I've got an area out here where I can, as I'm in the, I keep calling it the home screen, but as I'm here, I can also go into tags here, and I can search for notes based on these tags. And it's a very quick search. It brings up the note that I made the tag on, and I'm back to that as well. All right, so the next section that I want to talk about is record. And like I said, this is a note that incorporates voice recording, and it's a very powerful feature of this device. It's the in my opinion, this is the signature feature of the iFlyTek device, and it's really powerful and it works really well. And if anybody's going to buy this device for a special use case, it's probably going to be for this feature. So I'm going to go ahead and create a note. As soon as I create a recording, it says connecting English mode for you. It identifies that. So I've got this grid. It's sort of like an area. Think of it as the outline of your room, or where people are located in your room. So there's 4 microphones on this device, and these help the software figure out directionally where the speakers are located in the room, so that it can identify speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, speaker 4, so on and so forth. And then it can help break up your notes by who said what. And I have difficulty getting it to do that, but I have gotten it to work. I just probably need a little bit more time with the device. But as you can see, I'm being picked up on the bottom left speaker, or microphone over here. If I were to turn the device around, you'll notice that it's going to immediately identify that I'm on the microphone up here. And that's going to call this speaker 2. Now, it also uses AI to analyze voice, speech patterns, and stuff like that to differentiate speakers as well. But now I'm going to turn the device this way, and I'll begin speaking. And you'll see that the little head and shoulder icon is going to move to over here. So now we've got a speaker 3. I'm going to move it this way, and you'll see that it's going to identify pretty quickly that now the speaker is on this side of the room, and now we've got 4 individual speakers. So I can tell this to transcribe the recording, and I'm going to say, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say show more options, and I've got an option for multiplayer mode. Once again, it's interesting that they call it multiplayer. Maybe it's multi-speaker is what they're trying to say, but I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. And then I'm going to say transcribe immediately. It's converting. It says it's uploading the recording, so this is going to the cloud. If you're concerned about security or privacy, there could be a valid concern as far as that goes. It does say recording in progress, so we're going to give it just a few minutes and let it do its thing. All right, so full disclosure, this is where I have difficulty figuring out how to get it to break up into the individual speakers. It has been on this for a little while, so I'm going to go ahead and exit the note. If I can get it to exit. And then I'm going to go back into the note, have it load. And it is not giving me, I'm going to say update the transcription, direct update, voice to text conversion successful. And now I've got my speakers. So it shows speaker 1 here. I'm going to scroll up. Hopefully we see speaker 2. So it is not recognizing additional speakers, and it could be because it realized that I'm the same person. But let me show you what I did earlier with my wife. We did a test, and she was on one side of the device. I was on another side of the device. And so it, as you can see here, well, hey, how are you doing today? I'm doing well. She answered, thank you. And so it identified, it showed speaker 1, speaker 2. So I was able to go in and click on the word speaker 1, and it says modify. In this case, it said modify speaker 1 to, and then I changed it to the name David and confirmed. And then on speaker 2, I clicked on that and I modified it and said, let's call this speaker wife. And then you can see, and it's a very accurate transcription of our conversation. There were no mistakes based on what we said, and you can click anywhere on here to hear it. If I had the sound turned up, and if I had the speed at something other than 0.5, I will point out that you can have the speed set to 0.5 all the way up to 2.5. I am going to, let me get back into the right, sorry about this. I'm clicking on the wrong things, trying to be too quick. But back into my conversation with my wife, I'm going to change the speed to normal speed, 1.0. I can click anywhere. Getting ready to go to work? Yes, I am. Are you going to be busy today, or you think it's going to be slow? So anyway, it will go back and take you through the conversation, and you can see it as the speakers, change here. If I had been handwriting when I did this particular note, as I make strokes on the page, it would coincide to the point in the recording that I'm at, so that I could go back and click on that particular stroke on my handwriting, and it would go back to that part of the recording as well. So this is the standout feature of the iFlyTek AINote Air 2 that I think if anybody buys this device, it's for this functionality. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more as I get to the ending of the video. So the next thing that I want to do is just take you through real quick of the schedule and the reading. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in either one of these because I've touched on some of the features here. But on the calendar, I can come in here and it's a basic calendar. I've got a month view here. You can see that it's found an event here, and it's something that I entered on Friday, July 11th at 9 a.m. It's called testing. It found it on there. When I clicked on it, it took me to day view. So when I look here on day view, I got a little dot showing that there's some kind of an event there. I do not have this connected to any of my personal or work calendars at the moment, but you do have the option of doing that. So also on this day, it shows all the notes that I've done. As you can see, I've created 6 notes. I've deleted other things that I've done prior to this, so that's all that we're showing is those six notes. I can look at reminders. I've got the one testing reminder. And then for the to do today, I've got one on the task list over here that I've got. It's another task is right below it. It's due today, and I can click on this and look and see, it was due on 7/11. So that's interesting as well. The things that I miss on this calendar that I really like about the ViWoods AI Paper Mini is that you can write on the calendar. I can't do that on the day view. I can't do that on the week view. And I can't do that on the month view. So to me, that's a disappointment that it doesn't have that feature. I've talked about to-dos, so I won't go into there. You can also create to-dos directly from the app here. I've talked about Focus Star. Focus Star is kind of, where you create a star next to a line. I can look at a week at a time, a month at a time, 3 months, or a custom schedule. And then I've got this view. I'm not really sure that I would ever use this, but they call it weekly. And it just starts on Sunday, and it shows all the notes and the task and everything that you've got that were, assigned to that particular day. And you can, scroll between different weeks here. We're not going to see anything on other weeks because I've only got this week where I haven't deleted everything. But just kind of an interesting view there that I don't see that I would find much value in it. So now I want to go to the reading, which is basically your PDFs, your EPUBs, and those types of things. You've got a bookshelf where all of your documents reside. I'll show you that I do have, I think if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I work sometimes within a very large 5,000 plus page PDF note-taking document. I can go into that document. I can, it's all hyperlinked, and I'll make a specific note about this is that an update was just released on July 10th for this, just yesterday at the time of this filming. Prior to yesterday, the iFlyTek AINote Air 2 did not have the ability to work with hyperlinked PDF files. As of that update, they've added that functionality. So now, and I was really concerned about that because I work within this document a lot. And so as you see this, every field on this page is hyperlinked. So I can, I can click on this and it'll take me to the corresponding section of that notebook. I've got navigation buttons here. I've got different sections of the notebook here as well. that are very specific to my job. But now they're able to work with hyperlink PDFs, so that's really good news. If that's important to you, that's really good as well. Of course, I can annotate on those as well, but it's very limited to just some handwriting and stuff like that. They do have a bookstore with some public domain books in there. They've got an office center that I really haven't played with a whole lot. I guess you can create documents or import documents into here as well. You also have the ability to connect to a cloud drive. I think OneDrive is the only option, or at least it was the only option that I had. If I go to try to add a different one, OneDrive is my only option. It was the only option that I had when I went to connect it anyway. And this is, like I showed you earlier, folder management on the device is there as well. So the other options that you have up here beyond note, schedule, and reading, we've got this icon that signifies that you can do scanning. The device does have a camera on the back, as you can see here. It's a 5 megapixel document scanner. It's not going to be good at all for taking pictures. I wanted to test it out to see if I could take some pictures. Just, they could be low quality. I would be good with that. But the software on the device processes the images as though it were a document scan, and it makes actual images look incredibly grayscale. Let me take this off and put my password on there. But as you can see, I tried to take a picture of my living room, and it really just washed out the whole picture and thought, because it thought it was a document. Not a setting anywhere that I can find to just look at the picture. Although it does store it, if I could find it, it does store it somewhere on the internal shared memory. And I probably can't find it now. I cannot find it now. But anyway, there is I know how to find it. I go back into the scanner, and I can look under catalog maybe. I don't remember where I found that at. Create a new scan. Oh, I can create a new scan and I can look at photos. And there's a photo of my living room. Why can't I have that photo to import into documents? That would be wonderful to have that. It's stored on the device and it's original. Why do I have to be stuck with the processed image? iFlyTek, fix that, please. But anyway, I've heard some other reviewers talk about that the camera is low quality. And, when I compared the camera to the one on the ViWoods or on the SuperNote Nomad, oh, wait a minute. There is no camera on the ViWoods or the SuperNote Nomad. Little humor there. So, even though it is a low resolution quality, and the fact that when you scan a document, it's not a very it does have some little fuzzy edges on the characters that you're scanning in there. It's certainly better than no camera at all. And also, typically how I would use this, I'm not going to be scanning stacks of documents for archiving. I would do that with a printer or a scanner, or a dedicated printer or scanner. But there are times when I'm at work and I'm sitting down with somebody and we're reviewing a handwritten document. I don't like paper. I do not deal with paper at all. I prefer to, if somebody gives it to me, I'm going to take a picture of it, scan it, or do something with it and throw it in the trash, because I can't deal with paper. That's why I'm so much into ink devices. But I would take a quick scan of that picture, and I'm okay if the quality's not the best in the world. So to me, that camera is a benefit here. It also does have email. I'm not going to go open the email. It's a very basic email functionality, but it does work, and it works well. Like I said, I've got some personal emails in there. It's tied to my personal email account, so I'm not going to open that up. It also does have apps. It does have the Google Play Store. It's not enabled by default. You have to go through a step to enable Play Protect and then install the Google Play Store. But once you do that, you've got access to just about anything on the Google Play Store. As you can see, I haven't installed anything. All of these apps were installed originally. They do have, I guess, like an app store here where you can go in and download like Kindle and Outlook and Kobo and Libby. It's very limited. I think that's all that's in there. But, you can get some very basic apps from their app store. Just show you the settings real quick. The settings are very basic. There's not a lot of things that you can change on here. You've got wireless LAN, you've got Bluetooth, other connections. You got general that, you know, lets you change brightness and wallpaper and see battery percentage in your icon up here, although it's too small to see the percentage. Control screen rotation, the floating ball, what day your calendar starts on, and just for it's either Sunday or Monday. It's the only two options you've got. You got locks and shutdown. You got keys and gestures. You can control what gestures are there. You can also control your custom pin button. In this case, it switched to Smart Pen. This does have a fingerprint reader that works relatively well. I do find that it's not 100% accurate. Sometimes it just won't read my fingerprint. But anyway, you've got user help and some other things here. And then, of course, you can check for an update. It's similarly laid out to the ViWoods AI Paper Mini. I showed you search. Search is very accurate and very quick. Also, I showed you the task switcher, and then, of course, the control panel. So that is basically an overview of the device. I know I didn't dive as deep into some of the features as some of you might want to see. I apologize for that, but I did want to give you kind of my thoughts on the various features of this device and the pros and cons. And I do want to talk about what is my conclusion about this device. So pros, it's a very unique device in the fact that it's got that record feature. It's got the ability to identify additional speakers. That is tremendous. I think that's a very unique feature. There's other devices outside of tablets that are able to do that, may even do it better, but it's great to have that in your e-ink tablet. Another pro is the writing feel. As I said, I think it's extremely good writing feel, extremely good hardware quality. Love the front light, the special organizational features that are similar to the SuperNote, and in some cases similar to the books as well, such as your star focus to do in titles. Very good features of the device and would be huge selling points from an organizational standpoint. The cons, I've mentioned most of these already, is it can be slow and laggy at times. The software is not very intuitive. OCR is not the best. You can't copy and paste what you lasso, and you can't do subfolders. So with that said, let me go back and say, as a conclusion, would I recommend this device? So I've got three answers to that question. The first is, if you're a novice user, if you are new to tablets, if you're especially new to e-ink, this is not the device to start with. It's very confusing. It's very difficult. It's not intuitive in a lot of cases. There's better options to start with in the iFlyTek. If you're a power user, and you are used to, using more complex devices that are, have similar capabilities, or even some cases more capabilities, this is not the device for you. You'd find it too disjointed. You'd find it lacking in features. So I wouldn't recommend it for power users either. If you find, the third category is, if you find that record functionality to be unique and a very fitting for your particular use case, you're going to want this device. It does that really well. And like any device, if you're just the average user coming into an e-ink device and you're somewhat tech savvy, you can figure out this device. You can make it work for you. And it would work well, to be honest with you. I'm not saying don't buy this device. I'm just saying, given those three categories, those are the recommendations that I would make. I think if they continue to do updates, it looks like they're doing updates every couple of months. And like I said, this last update on July 10th was a huge update from a PDF hyperlinked workbooks standpoint. So as they continue to address the features of the device, I think, I'll be on the lookout for how it gets better and, maybe let you know what's being improved as far as that goes. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you disagree or you have any questions or comments, be sure and put them down in the comments. I'd also like to ask you to take a moment and like the video if you would, hit the like button, and also consider subscribing to the channel. I would really appreciate it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.